But no, if Mark Brunell comes out there, you might not know his name. So if he decides that he doesn't want to show up to the combine, let's say that this guy's a former college All-American, all right, and you're like, hey, don't show up to the combine, man. I got you in the 8th round. No one's going to know, Joe Williams from Penn State or whatever, you know what I'm saying, or Akron, So what we did was we put a random number. That way, if you couldn't make the combine, you're not getting punished. You're still going to be on a team. But if you could have made it and you just stayed away so that your homeboy gets you, we're going to kill all that. 2 things we're looking for, man. We're looking for character and we're looking for fellowship. Both of those things will not be served if somebody's running shenanigans where he's getting a really great player in round 8 because only he knows who that is.
And I think the way that it was set up was a great way to give this league some parity. Right now, I'm supposing that because we all had an opportunity to see the kind of talent that was there,
right.
We all had an opportunity to pick players. There were no, crazy things happening to where somebody was able to, tell their homeboy to hide out.
Yeah.
Because when it came down to those players who were absent, what we did was we sat around at the table and we all picked a number.
That was it.
And once we picked that, we didn't know who was attached to that number, but it was a randomized number that we picked. It was just basically random, and that person who was assigned to that number was placed on that team to level things out.
Exactly right.
So if you didn't get, if you weren't there, don't worry. They was done fairly.
Yeah, absolutely right. Fairly. You're on a team. I want to stress this to the brand new players who've never done a draft style league before, and that's most people. What went on Sunday is not a tryout. Don't think that you missed the tryouts or you didn't. If you signed up and you paid and you're in the first 60 guys, you're in regardless. All the combine was for was so that exactly what Coach Rudy just said. It gives everybody a chance to draft evenly and fairly, so that you don't get a stacked team and another team where you just didn't know who they were, so you just grabbed names. So you're in. There is no tryout. Now with the draft itself, we also randomly selected draft order, very similar to, actually identical to fantasy football. Any guys play fantasy, you know how that works. You get a random selection. If you're the 3rd pick of the draft, you're going to be 3rd in the 1st round, but now it's going to arc back around. They call it a snake draft. So it goes 1st to last, 2nd round is last to 1st, 3rd round is 1st to last, and so on. So the guy who picks number 1, he'll get that top pick, but he won't pick again until the end of the 2nd round.
Which in our case was number 12. So
that's right. In our case was 12.
He got the 1st round pick, and
right.
then he came back and got the 12th pick.
And then you also got 13 because now you're on what's called the turnaround, meaning you're at the front of one round, but at the beginning of the next round as well.
Yes. So he also picked first. So he was the 12th and the 13th pick.
You got it.
And he was the 1st pick also. So those of you that missed it, if you have any indication of fantasy football and how that draft went, it really felt the same way, except we were dealing with real bodies,
exactly.
Real players. And I think that's what was really unique. I've been around flag football for a number of years. Never with the church league, but I've been in flag football. I was thinking about it this morning. Nearly 20 years around flag football.
Wow, man.
I've never
impressive.
seen a flag football league draft somebody. And I called up a couple of my homeboys down in South Florida, and they were like, man, they were chomping at the bits, excited at the combine.
Oh, yeah? They like that?
So, man, I tell you, man, people are recognizing what we did up here, and I think it's a neat concept, and I'm just glad to be a part of it, man.
That's cool. Well, I'm glad to have you. I got to be honest with you. I knew coming into it, from just playing with you in basketball, I was like, yeah, man, this is going to be good. Because you got that analytical mind, and we're going to get to that, by the way. We're going to talk about that analytical mind and that easy charm you got going on, because we're going to talk about trades here in a moment. But with the draft, once we had the draft order selected, you then had 90 seconds from the last pick that was made to make your next selection. So we tried to make it similar to the NFL draft, where you had a very limited amount of time. If you missed that time, you didn't lose your pick. The next guy just is able to jump in with his pick. Now he's on the clock, and if he takes the guy that you would have gotten, that's on you. Mm-hmm. And that actually did happen. Someone missed their time.
I remember that. Yep.
One guy actually missed his time, and we moved on, and the other dude made a pick. Yep. Now I don't know if it was the guy he would have taken, but that did come into play. Yep. I also want to stress one thing also about the PXFL. The reason we call it the Pro Experience, besides it just being a pretty slick name that's easy to remember, is that we're going to try to mimic and mirror as many features of the pro league of pro football as we can into our league. So we're going to get things like a combine, and like a draft, and even the draft style, and post game player interviews and podcasts, which are going to be similar to radio broadcasts, and top 10 plays of the week, literally top 10 plays of the week, players of the week. We're talking receiver of the week, quarterback of the week, defensive player of the week, overall of the week. We're going to, at the end of the season, we're going to have awards for all kinds of stuff: defensive back of the year, defensive lineman of the year, that kind of stuff, and then also some core value awards, fellowship and sportsmanship and reliability and character and stuff like that. So we're going to have a lot of NFL style features to us, even all the way down to instant replay. I don't even know if I've even mentioned that to some of you guys yet. But we're going to talk about that in the rules. But we are going to have our own form of instant replay.
Hey, man, I really think that's a neat idea, but I do have one concern.
Sure.
One concern. You say this is as much of the NFL experience as we can get, but that means that because you're the commissioner,
right,
then that means you're like Roger Goodell then. And so you're going to be slapping fines on people, and you're going to be is that what we're talking about here? Because, I'm telling you, Roger Goodell, man, I tell you, that guy, woo,
I can neither
he is no joke.
I can neither confirm nor deny this allegation. I
bet. So, hey, you guys.
I will pass along your question to the appropriate offices of.
Yeah, there's the commish right there. All right, commish.
We will respond to your question very shortly. But in the meantime, there won't be slapping any fines. But to answer your question truthfully, if God forbid this should happen, and I pray that it does not, but the realist in me knows that at some point, maybe not this year, but somewhere along the line, it will happen that there needs to be a reminder of the style of league we are, the vision of the league that we are, and a little bit of structure and discipline has to be put in. If that were to happen, I will consult, and it isn't just Zeus sitting on the mountaintop throwing down lightning bolts against you guys. It ain't going to be like that. I'm going to. I'll go over the situation with the other directors of SWAP. Pastor Kirk Bain is our leader. Also, Jimmy Brown, who's the director of the softball, and Greg McGregor, who's the director of basketball. We'll come to consensus on how to proceed, and it will happen, fellas. I hate to say it, but even though this may be a church-based sports league, this is open to anybody. I mean, you can drive down from Atlanta and join in. Anybody.
I think that's the joy of it, right? The joy of it is it's not exclusively designed just for church members, right? It's not.
No.
It's a church-run league, but that's because our mission and goal is to really reach out and really show people in the community the way that Discovery wants to represent itself, and the way that. We as Christian followers want to represent ourselves with everyone, right?
That's right. Yeah. But with that, though, like I said, there's sometimes things are going to happen, whether you mean it or not. Things are going to happen on the field, and then we'll deal with them then. So let's let's hope that I don't have to really do that much of that side of my job all that much this season. Now with the draft, we had the option as coaches to make some pick trades as far as our positioning in the draft. In other words, like, a first-round pick and a second-round pick, just like the real NFL. You hear all the time where the Redskins traded away, and we do this all the time. I'm a big Redskins fan. We're always trading away our picks because we think that we need veterans. We don't know how to build in the draft. Skins don't build in the draft. We got RG3, and that shocked me.
Yeah. And then you turn around and got Kirk Cousins.
And then I know it. Don't start. I know. We got all these quarterbacks. I know.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, man. As long as Snyder owns that team, we're never gonna win. But point being, you hear all the time about trading picks away and whatever. So you need to explain to me, because I've got a pretty decent brain in my head, I'd like to say, and I know a little bit about football. But for the life of me, I cannot figure out where you benefited in trading away your first round pick. This is what he did. This is what Rudy did. Okay, I had the number one pick. MJ, I had the number one pick. Rudy had the second pick. He traded the second overall pick, meaning his first pick of the first round, to gain the first pick of the second round. So he gave away the number 2 pick and got the number 7 pick. I've got to know how you benefited in that. Explain that to me.
It was a throwaway pick. There was nothing that I was going to advance. There was nothing that I was going to be able to benefit by picking in the first round. And the reason why I wasn't going to benefit was because I had a guy who I was linked up with. Those of you that know, in this league, you were allowed to link up with one person and bring that person in the league with you, and both of you would have to be on the same team.
That's right.
Which meant that you would be drafted in one round, and then your partner or your link would be drafted in the round after that, and coaches had to follow that league or that rule. Well, since I was a coach and I was brought on board as a coach later on, my first round draft pick had to go to it. So it was a throwaway draft pick because I knew it was my link. So I knew I wasn't going to get anything from it. And so what I decided to do was see if I can get some value by allowing myself to have 2 picks in the second round back to back. And so I wanted to make sure I got my guy. I wanted to make sure the guy that I traded with, he was going to, whatever guy he got, he was going to have to take that guy, and then in the second round, back up and take the next guy, because he said that, I believe it was Coach Sam, I believe.
Yeah, it was Sam.
So Coach Sam, he went ahead and traded away his pick, but that's because he realized there was no value because he picked last in the order. He picked 6th. So there was really no value. And I went back home and I thought about what happened, and really it wasn't a win or lose for either one of us because both of us ended up doing the same thing. We both
had a link.
We both had a link that we had, and so I was really trying to get my I was trying to get 1 first round pick and then an early turnaround in the second round, and so it didn't work out the way that I envisioned it to work out. But because I had that person that I had to take in the first round anyway, and those of you that know how that is with that link, we had to take somebody who was linked to us. So I had to take him in the 7th
with your first pick.
Yeah, with my first pick. So my first pick was the 7th, and then I came right around and I took another guy who was 4 picks later. And so I was able to take that 4 picks later, and so it just was a back-to-back kind of a thing.
Well, I know that in the end result was that you both got your links with your first pick. I was just trying to figure out what prompted you to make that move in the first place. But I see what you're saying. You were looking to. It didn't pan out. You were looking. In your head. You were envisioning trying to get a quicker turnaround pick.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right, I got. Exactly. So you got multiple picks in a row. All right. That's cool. So what happens was after all of the players who were present at the combine were drafted, all the ones whose names that we saw, that we could pick their names. When that was done, then all the people that were not at the combine had numbers attached to them. We began there at the same pick in the same round that we ended the named players. And from that point on, we was just saying, 8, 5, 3, and we got our fellas. So that's how we ended up with the teams that we got. Since that time, I have allowed the coaches to pick up the last couple of players that we needed to fill in the rosters. We came up only a small number short, maybe 7 or 8 short of a full rosters for a full league, and we've since done that. We've now,
which is remarkable. I mean, what a remarkable way to jump into our league and really to start this year off with having over 50 or 60 players. How many players total?
We've got I think we have 62 now.
62 players total. So we needed that last week. Everybody, for those of you that missed out on it and probably weren't aware of it, like the commissioner was saying, each coach had an opportunity to add to his team by recruiting just one player. And I understand why you had some trepidation about that, being that the whole ideal of this league was for parity and to make sure that nobody comes in with the ringer. But nobody could foresee having this as an option. So I think we all went about it the right way, and I think it was a brave move to go and make sure that we get this league full and make sure we have each team maxed out with the players. So I think it was a good move.
I appreciate that. All right. Move. Yeah. And like you said, it has worked out well. It's done. And let me tell you, starting off a first season with 6 teams is, with this style of a league, as different as this is and as unusual as this is, was an undertaking. Mm-hmm. I got to be honest with you. The league that I'm coming from, that has similar rules and format to our league, the PXFL, started its first season with only 4 teams. So it was, I was kind of aiming high. But I'm gonna, everyone says this term, but I really mean it. I was trusting God to bring those people around. I really was. I was like, if we have 5 teams, I'll live with that. If we have 4, I'll live with that. But I want to aim for 6, and we got them.
Yeah, well, because with something like this, I can see us having a league of 10 teams if people were able to bring in their own players and bring in their own teams, right? And so I think the reason why we're really highlighting this particular point is because nobody could do that, and so everybody had to come in either just with the ideal of one other person in mind, because you couldn't bring a whole team in. And so that may have taken some people who maybe wanted to play in our league. They may have turned away from it, but that's all right, because we ended up getting what I think is a great amount of teams with quality players.
And a lot of folks that did kind of balk at it at first, like, no, I ain't playing unless we bring my own team. They're going to be told, they're going to hear about it. Someone's going to come back and tell them, hey, man, you should have seen this season. And you don't even have to tell them about it. You can take them to the website, and they're going to see all the highlights. They're going to see all the top 10s. They're going to see all the stuff, listen to the podcast. They're going to – folks that passed on this season are going to get a chance to see at the end of it what the final product was. Yeah. And mark my words, there will be some folks, coming back and giving it a shot.
Okay.
But that's a segue. Moving on to the rest of the features that we're going to provide for you guys this season.